Lysander, the Special Operations Executive Aircraft by War Machiner. The Westland Lysander looks like someone built an airplane out of spare parts from a biplane and forgot to give it a retractable undercarriage. By 1940, the Lysander was already obsolete as a military aircraft. The RAF had intended it for Army cooperation, spotting artillery, dropping messages, roles that faster planes did better. The misconception is that the Lysander survived because it was tough or well armed. It survived because it could land in a cow pasture, turn around in 50 yards, and take off again before a German patrol could cross the same field. The overlooked consequence of the Lysander is that it proved secret warfare required not stealthy technology, but absurdly forgiving flight characteristics. You did not need to be an ace to fly a Lysander into occupied France. You needed to be patient, methodical, and willing to navigate by flashlight. The Lysander was designed in 1936 to a specification that asked for an aircraft that could operate from rough fields and loiter over battlefields at low speed. The high wing gave the pilot downward visibility. The fixed gear meant no hydraulic system to fail. When France fell in 1940, the RAF withdrew most Lysanders from frontline service. They were too slow, too vulnerable, and too easy to spot. But someone at the Air Ministry had an idea. The Sioux needed an aircraft that could land agents in occupied Europe and pick them up again on moonlit nights. No runway. No lights. No second chances. The Lysander was stripped of its military gear and fitted with a removable ladder so agents could climb into the rear cockpit without assistance. The landing lights were removed. The compass was repainted with luminous dots. The critical modification was the fuel system. The Lysander carried enough fuel for 8 hours of flight. That meant a round trip from England to central France and back, with an hour of loitering over a field waiting for a signal. The signal was a letter code flashed from a handheld torch. 3 or 4 flashes. If the code was wrong, the Lysander turned around and went home. No questions. No second chances that night. Between 1941 and 1944, Lysanders of No. 138 and No. 161 squadrons flew over 400 sorties into France. They delivered 293 agents and recovered over 500 downed airmen and fleeing resistance members. The pilots were volunteers. Many were pre-war bush pilots or crop dusters, men accustomed to landing where there were no runways. They flew alone, without wingmen, without radio contact after takeoff. Navigation was dead reckoning. The pilot took off from RAF Tangmere on the south coast, crossed the channel at 50 feet to avoid radar, then climbed over the French coast to identify a river or railway line. The stopwatch was the most important instrument. At a known airspeed, a 1-degree compass error meant missing the landing field by 2 miles. 2 miles in occupied France meant landing in a German barracks yard. The technique was to fly low over the field once, looking for obstacles. Then a tight circuit, a full stall landing with full flaps, and a ground roll of less than 200 feet. The agent jumped off the ladder before the aircraft stopped rolling. The return trip was the same but harder. The agent brought intelligence reports, sometimes a captured German officer. The rear-facing passenger seat meant the prisoner stared backward the entire flight. 30 Lysanders were lost on Sioux operations. Some to flak, some to fighters, some to simple navigational error. One pilot landed in the wrong field and walked into a German mess hall. The Lysander was retired from RAF service in 1946. No successor was ever built. The missions it flew were taken over by helicopters and, later, by special operations versions of the C-130. The Lysander taught modern special operations a lesson that still applies: the perfect infiltration aircraft does not look cool. It looks like it belongs in a barn. Brilliant engineering is sometimes just knowing exactly how much technology you do not need. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper. The Lysander stood as an emblem of unconventional warfare, its design reflecting a deep understanding of the unique challenges soldiers faced in the shadows of conflict. As RAF pilots prepared for their missions, the airfield buzzed with a mix of anxiety and determination. Each pilot knew that their aircraft, while not glamorous, offered the best chance for success in delivering agents and gathering valuable intelligence. The strategies crafted around using the Lysander were fueled by adaptability and a profound respect for conflict's unpredictable nature, making each flight a blend of art and science. Lysander pilots donned well-worn leather jackets, their faces a mixture of resolve and nervous anticipation. They gathered in small groups, sharing whispered tips about the best approaches to landing in the dark, the conversation punctuated by muted laughter as they recounted near misses and successful landings that felt like miracles. Armed with maps marked in pencil and an instinct forged from experience, they understood the stakes involved, knowing that each venture was not only a mission but a gamble against the odds stacked high with danger. The roar of the Lysander's engine pierced through the night air as a pilot took the controls, his heart racing with each flick of the switch. The dim glow of the instruments illuminated the cockpit, casting a shadow over his determined expression. This was a journey devoid of certainty but rich with purpose. As he navigated toward occupied France, he remembered the faces of the agents waiting for this lifeline, each one vital to the intelligence network of the Allies. With the Channel behind him and the French coast ahead, he focused intently on his stopwatch, knowing that even a second's miscalculation could spell disaster. The landscape unfolded beneath the Lysander as the pilot skimmed low, the world bathed in the sharp clarity of moonlight. Each river bend and wooded glade became familiar waypoints in the darkness, landmarks marking the crucial path toward the rendezvous site. With the wavering glow of the handheld torch in his mind, he steeled himself for the low approach, preparing to spot the designated field hidden amongst the shadows.